Chapter 2, A New Friend. Twilight stared at the armored human named Darren Grandel, who now stood at perfect attention in the center of her throne room. She really didn't know what to make of him, other than what was obvious. He had manners that gave Rarity a run for her money. He apparently had a prior relationship with Celestia and Luna, and oh yeah, he was the most terrifying force of destruction Twilight had ever seen. He also seemed to regard her as an authority figure to whom he owed absolute fealty. Every request Twilight had, he obeyed to the letter. He also kept addressing her as Seraph. Twilight was one of the smartest ponies in Equestria, and she just could not figure this guy out. "Is something troubling you, Seraph?" Twilight almost jumped out of her throne. She had been so lost in thought trying to understand her strange visitor, she forgot he was in the room. "Oh no, nothing." Twilight responded a little too loudly. "Does my presence truly bother you that much?" he asked after a brief pause spent processing Twilight's reaction, and guessing at the cause. "Oh no, not at all. I just haven't had guests in a while and I'm a little out of practice," Twilight lied, as she put on a massive fake smile that made her look slightly unhinged. The truth was Darren didn't so much bother as terrify her, not really surprising after she witnessed him kill 16 dragons in less than 30 seconds. She still didn't understand how he did it. His speed and strength far exceeded that of any human she had encountered in her brief time among them. What's more, he had done it without the slightest hesitation, and though she was grateful for the rescue, it still disturbed her that any creature could take life with such ease. Still, she was the princess of friendship, she should at least give him a chance, right? "So, where are you from?" Twilight asked as nonchalantly as she could. "I hail from the lost planet of Dnua, Kingdom of Kind." Twilight was about to ask how he knew Celestia and Luna when something struck her. "Wait, what do you mean lost planet?" Darren's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. "It was destroyed, more than that, I cannot say." Twilight wanted to know more, but was too scared of angering her strange guest to press him for details. Twilight decided that it would be safer to change the subject. "So how do you know the princesses?" Darren considered how to answer the question before responding. "They saved my life, and quite possibly my soul. I owe them more than I could ever repay." Twilight opened her mouth to ask for particulars, but was stopped when an official-looking scroll popped into existence in front of her eyes. "Oh, thanks, Celestia," Twilight thought to herself as she broke the seal on the rolled paper. "Dear Princess Twilight Sparkle, I write to inform your eminence that Her Royal Highnesses, Lady Celestia, and Luna, cannot be reached at this time, as they are on a diplomatic mission to Saddle Arabia. With regret, I must inform your Highness that they will be unavailable for an indefinite period. Nevertheless, I promise to inform them of this development as soon as they return, and offer my deepest apologies for the delay. Signed, Grand Chamberlain Silverhoof." Twilight felt her eye twitching as she finished the letter. Of all the times the princesses could have chosen to leave, it had to be now. She considered writing a response demanding that the Chamberlain forward the message immediately, but knew it would do no good. She remembered Silverhoof from her days as Celestia's student in Canterlot, and he was the most anal retentive coal pusher that ever lived. Silverhoof would rather jump out the highest window in Equestria than bother the princess when she asked not to be disturbed. Even Celestia herself found him utterly exasperating at times, and once said that the only reason she didn't fire him was because she would drown in paperwork otherwise. Twilight's irritation must have shown on her face, because Darren spoke up. "Is something the matter, Seraph?" he asked gently. "Oh, nothing, just that apparently Celestia and Luna can't be reached thanks to the physical embodiment of tail-backward bureaucracy. I mean, it's not like it's anything important, just a dragon attack, and the appearance of the god of Dea." Twilight trailed off as she recalled who it was she was venting to. A few moments passed as Twilight stared worriedly at Darren, and wondered if her outburst had sealed her fate. "You really are afraid of me, aren't you?" Darren asked, and surprisingly, he sounded a little hurt. Twilight instantly felt like a jerk. Darren had saved her life, and been nothing but kind to her. Yet here she was treating him like an unexploded bomb. I'm sorry, Mr. Grandel, regardless of how you did it, you saved my life, and the lives of every pony in town. I should be thanking you, not treating you like a pariah. Darren's expression softened. It is all right, Seraph, I know your world is one that has little taste for war and violence. It is no surprise that my actions should disturb you. Is it all right if we start over? I really would like to be friends, if you'll give me another chance. Twilight said sincerely. Darren smiled. I would very much like that. I have not been in the presence of friends for some time, and I dearly miss it. Twilight returned Darren's smile genuinely. Then why don't you call me Twilight? It's what all my friends call me. Very well, but only if you address me as Darren, agreed? Twilight nodded, glad to finally feel the tension leaving the room. Well, now that that's settled, welcome to. Twilight was cut off by the throne room doors slamming open, revealing a panicked-looking pony possessing a white coat, with black mane and tail. Princess, dragons. 3 more coming from the same direction as the others, he cried out before Twilight could even ask for an explanation. Not missing a beat, Darren snapped his helmet into place, and pulled his weapon from his back. Just give the command, Sarah, Twilight, and I shall turn them into a crimson mist. He snarled. Twilight shook her head. If they were here to cause trouble, they would have brought more than just 3, but I would appreciate it if you came with me to meet them. After a moment's hesitation, Darren nodded. If you believe it best, he said slowly, clearly uncertain, but unwilling to defy Twilight's judgment. Darren fell into step beside Twilight, but did not holster his weapon, instead keeping it pointed at the ground, but ready for use. Twilight had some misgivings about taking Darren with her, but given his involvement it seemed best to have him on hand. Twilight and Darren headed toward the center of town, where the 3 dragons appeared to be heading. Twilight felt a small surge of relief when she recognized one of the trio. It was Dragon Lord Ember, who she had met briefly during the trial to determine the new leader of the Dragon Nation, the Gauntlet of Fire. She was accompanied by 2 larger, older dragons, one gray-scaled with red wings and frills, and the other green with black, and Twilight guessed them to be her retainers. It was doubtful they came to cause trouble. Still, Twilight was very glad to see that all the ponies were staying off the streets. Princess Twilight, right? Ember asked uncertainly, as Twilight approached. Yes, that's me, what do you want? Twilight asked, a bit more harshly than she meant to. We don't have much time, Garble is on his way here looking for Spiky. Twilight cut Ember off before she got any farther. We know, Twilight declared, unable to keep a hint of anger from her voice, as she jerked her head at several nearby burned houses. Ember took a moment to survey the damage with a pained look on her face before replying. Was any pony hurt? She asked hesitantly. Twilight shook her head. No, but if it hadn't been for Darren, there most certainly would have been, Twilight said, gesturing toward the Doomslayer's imposing armored form. Ember looked at Darren, feeling distinctly nervous as he regarded her through his helmet's tinted visor. What happened? Ember asked uneasily. Twilight was trying to think of the best way to explain, when Darren spoke. The wretch and his comrades attacked the town, and died at my hands like the cowards they were, he stated in a cold voice. Twilight winced, clearly Darren didn't feel any need for diplomacy. Preposterous. One of Ember's retainers, the large gray dragon with red wings and frills, barked out. Garble had at least 15 other dragons with him, all of them quite strong. There is simply no way a bunch of weakling ponies, and whatever you are, could have defeated them. Now it was Ember's turn to wince, as Twilight saw Darren's grip on his weapon visibly tighten. Perhaps you would like to see a demonstration of my abilities. I could present your hide to Lady Celestia, and Luna as a gift to mark our reunion. Darren snarled. I'd like to see you try bite-sized. The dragon replied, flexing his claws. That's enough. Twilight and Ember declared simultaneously. We're here to talk this out, not start a war, Twilight stated, placing her hoof on Darren's arm for emphasis. Same goes for you, Stormfang, knock it off, Ember said, glaring at her subordinate angrily. Darren and Stormfang each deferred to their respective ladies, but it was clear that neither was happy about it. With some civility restored, Twilight and Ember resumed talking. Though Darren and Stormfang continued to glare at each other. Despite his poor choice of words, Darren is telling the truth. He stopped Garble and his friends from destroying Ponyville, but was forced to kill them to do it. I'm sorry, I wish there had been another way, but Garble would have killed every pony if Darren hadn't acted. Ember nodded. I understand, Garble actually tried to stage a coup not long after I became Dragon Lord. It was clear he was losing it. I should have locked him up, but I erred on the side of forgiveness. This is my fault. The Dragon Nation will pay for the damages, and whatever you deem appropriate as compensation. Twilight was about to respond when Stormfang butted in again. What about us? Garble and his group were members of the Dragon Nation. If the ponies did indeed kill them, a fact I still find quite hard to swallow, we should receive compensation as well. Ember was about to reprimand her subordinate, but Darren beat her to the punch. Just barely managing to restrain his anger at Stormfang's arrogant demand, his reply was slow and deliberate. I was the one who disposed of those vermin, the ponies had nothing to do with it. If you desire compensation, then I offer you the opportunity to take it from me, if you have the stones to try. Stormfang's eyes bulged with rage. Why, you insolent little... Stormfang was cut off when his body was enveloped in a red aura, and he fell to the ground gasping. I said enough, Ember roared. The ponies owe us nothing, Stormfang, and you know it. Garble's attack was unprovoked and could have caused a war. Now be silent, or I will see you banished to the farthest reaches of the frozen north. As the red aura receded, Stormfang rose unsteadily to his feet, grumbling under his breath, while Ember turned back to Twilight. I apologize for Stormfang's outburst, Princess Twilight. Some of my fellow dragons don't quite grasp the concept of diplomacy yet. I can relate. Twilight responded, giving Darren a stern glare. But as to the offer, just paying for the damage is more than enough. It's not your fault that this happened. Ember smiled, grateful for Twilight's understanding. We'll return in a few days with the repair funds. Hopefully we can talk more after things have a chance to cool down. Again, on behalf of the Dragon Nation, I wish to apologize for Garble's actions. Twilight nodded. Thank you, Dragon Lord Ember. Hopefully in time we can put this behind us, and move toward better relations between our respective species. Ember nodded, as she and her retainers spread their wings. I would very much like that, Princess Twilight, Ember stated sincerely, as she and her two fellows took to the sky, flying back the way they came. Twilight sighed, suddenly feeling exhausted from everything that had transpired. I need a cup of tea and a nap, she declared, her tone revealing how tired she felt. Darren replaced his shotgun on his back before removing his helmet, showing a face etched with concern. Let us return to the castle, and I'll prepare some tea and a nice hot bath for you then, he stated. Twilight looked at Darren with a slightly disbelieving expression. I can't do that, there's still way too much to do. I have to help with the repairs, make arrangements for sending the bodies of the dead dragons back to their homeland, and let's not forget I still have to explain you. I can't just relax in a bath during a crisis, I have to help my friends rebuild. Darren favored Twilight with a kindly smile. Then I suppose we best get to work, hadn't we? Wait, what do you mean we? Twilight asked, confused. You think me the kind of man to abandon a friend in her hour of need? I shall help you in whatever way I can. Twilight sighed. Well, unfortunately, the best way you can help is by returning to the castle, and staying there. Ponies are already on edge, and seeing you probably isn't going to improve matters. Darren shook his head. With respect, Twilight, your subjects will not be less frightened if I hide in the castle. Only by knowing something can you become comfortable with it, and your people will not know me unless they interact with me. Twilight opened her mouth to protest, but realized Darren had a good point. If she hid him away, ponies would wonder why. They would begin to speculate, and possibly conclude that he wasn't allowed out because he was a danger to them. Twilight could best assuage these fears by showing that she, the Princess of Friendship, trusted this strange new visitor. "Okay then, let's get Everpony together, we've got a lot of work to do," Twilight declared.